Hey guys, it's yet another finger here on YouTube. So today I'm going to be reacting to Asian Boss's newest interview in the People's Republic of China to ask people about their opinion on Taiwan, aka the Republic of China, from a Taiwanese perspective. So as you can see throughout this entire video, I'll constantly mention these two phrases, the People's Republic of China and the Republic of China. So if by far you're not familiar with the fact that there are actually two Chinas, I'm going to throw in a quick recap of the whole history of the China-Taiwan relations. But please feel free to skip this part using the timestamps if you already know everything you need to know. So the current China you know of right now is the People's Republic of China. Now Taiwan is the Republic of China, which is first of all not the same as the People's Republic of China, and secondly is not and has historically never been a part of the People's Republic of China. So that being said, currently the Chinese government has no direct control over the Taiwan island whatsoever, and Taiwan is 100% independent and function exactly as how any independent country would. It's just that it's not recognized as a country internationally, like it's not a part of the UN and it's not a part of most international organizations. So it's hard to say that it's already a country, but it also is definitely not a part of the People's Republic of China, as the Chinese government is trying to claim. Okay, so now that that's all cleared out, without further ado, let's jump right into the video.
你好，今天我们想听听普通大陆公民对台湾的看法。首先，你愿意在公开场合谈论这个问题吗？因为
Wow, the fact that they even have to ask this question before the interview. So I've actually always wondered, because you'll constantly see these news and memes about how the freedom of speech is highly restricted in the People's Republic of China, but I've personally never been there to experience it myself, so I used to wonder how much of it is actually true to reality, you know? Like if to some extent it's exaggerated to make the PRC look bad, or at least worse than it actually is. But I think receiving some comments coming from the actual mainlanders, so like people from the PRC telling me about how things actually are over there, and also seeing this interview and the way they have to handle these type of interviews, I guess it is as serious as the media portrays them, as it turns out.
你在国内的官方媒体或者是民间媒体吧，各方面媒体，你会听到了哪些关于台湾的消息？谈到台湾，他们通常会谈论什么？
那国内就比如说像环球时报，然后包括像这个新华社呀。
Okay, I'm not really familiar with these news medias.
不管是报纸还是这个网络媒体，那一些报道，因为现在就是因为这个中美大的这个政治背景不是很友好，所以说
Of course.
可能台海两岸现在就是说感觉摩擦多一些。
我一般不太看国内的新闻，但是在我印象中，就是他们关于台湾的，一般都不会是正面的。
And it goes both ways actually, like most reports about China here in Taiwan are definitely also negative than positive.
时候，如果是一旦是关于台湾的问题的话，一般都是会关于是说，比如说，大陆对于台湾这边要求他们。回归统一这方面的问题，以及是说
As expected.
台湾方面对于回归这个问题，一般都是就是现在台湾肯定是还没有想要
Yeah, exactly.
回归大陆，所以一般我看到媒体上面关于这些报道的话，都是在强调是说，如果是说台湾方面不愿意回归的话，那大陆这边有可能是会采取强硬的这个，或者甚至武力这样子。
And they do mean what they say, like recently they've already been firing missiles at us.
那你对台湾的个人印象是什么？比方说，你想到台湾，首先想到的是什么？这种印象来源于什么？
旅游吃的台湾小吃嘛，好像不过我没吃过而已。因为我几个台湾朋友、同学，我有几个台湾朋友吧，都说台湾美食蛮好的，台湾风景蛮好的，叫我去玩玩。我说有空就去吧。
Well, you're definitely very welcome to visit Taiwan and try out the food here.
然后台湾的话，我感觉他们，整体生活挺幸福的。首先收入会比我们高
Oh, really?
而且他们，我不知道是不是媒体给我的印象啊，是错觉还是怎么样，反正我感觉他们的贫富差距和生存压力都很大。现在国内的情况你也知道，大家年轻人都很卷。然后这样的情况，我不知道台湾有没有，对这个不太了解。但是整体拍出来，至少他们收入比我们高。
Interesting. You know, I actually got a comment from a mainlander saying the exact same thing. So they told me that they were envious of Taiwanese people because the way they see it, if we work hard in Taiwan, there's always a hope to succeed. Like, there are more chances of succeeding in Taiwan, even for young people without much background. Whereas the current situation in the People's Republic of China they've experienced is the exact same as this interviewee said, that it has a huge wealth inequality, and also the comment also pointed out inequality in the way they treat people coming from different cities. And I'm honestly very surprised to hear about all this because from Taiwan's perspective, there was a time where the PRC was welcoming Taiwanese people to do business in the mainland, and whenever Taiwanese people go to China to develop their business, they would just obtain so much wealth instantly. So for a long time, it was really popular for Taiwanese people to go to the PRC in hope to get a higher salary. And because of that, people used to paint this picture that the PRC is just so wealthy and so developed, and everyone in the PRC just seems so rich. And even when I was a student, the teachers would always tell us, like, look at these young people in the PRC, they're working so hard and they're having such a bright future, so if you Taiwanese students don't work harder, how are you going to compete with them? I assume a lot of Taiwanese people around my age have definitely heard this from their teachers, so it's definitely interesting for me to now hear the complete opposite from these Chinese youth. Or perhaps it's just that the time has changed, I don't know.
是这样子的，我在很多年前吧，就是在我孩子在小学的时候，我们去台湾旅游过是半个月。我当时对台湾的感觉印象还是不错的，因为当时可能没有现在那么紧张吧。台湾当时的那个民众嘛，对我们还是比较友好的。当我们自己旅游的话，一路我就感觉风光啊、民俗啊都是比较喜欢，都是比较适合。然后感觉他们也没有说是好像是特别的排外的那种感觉。我们知道大陆来的，但是可能这2年可能是看到各种的消息，各方面感觉好像有些矛盾化，有些那个更加的加剧一些的那种感觉。
It's sad because it's totally true. So like people would always point out how the CCP government is brainwashing its people, but I honestly think that in a sense, a lot of Taiwanese people are also kind of brainwashed into hating absolutely everyone from the PRC due to the one-sided information they have been receiving from the media we have access to in Taiwan. And I really can agree with that because of course you can disagree what the government is doing and you can be against them, but most people from the PRC I've met are super nice to Taiwanese people. None of them want war, and a lot of them genuinely think of Taiwanese people as family because we share the same ethnicity. So there's really no need to project this hate onto the people as well, in my opinion.
最近我们在台湾做了一个类似的街访，我们问了台湾的路人，他们是否认为台湾是中国的一部分。这里我会先给你看一下那个小视频，然后希望能得到一些你的回馈。
Okay, when I edit the video later, I'm going to skip this part where they basically just showed the previous interview they did in Taiwan. So I'm going to just jump right into the Chinese interviewees' reactions.
你觉得他们的说法是怎么样的？你能表达一下你的第一感觉和第一反应吗？
我觉得他们表达不怎么好，台湾本来就是我们中国，因为
Well, that's the standard answer that you can really expect. Here, I actually do agree with him when he said that the way these Taiwanese people put it are not the best, but it's also clear to me that this guy knows nothing about the history of Taiwan. So, first of all, throughout 5,000 years of China's history, Taiwan was only a part of China during the Qing dynasty and under the rule of the Republic of China. It was not always a part of China from the very beginning as he claimed. It's because Taiwan was also ruled by the Dutch, Spain, and Japan. It was never rightfully a part of China. If anything, China was also one of the intruders because they were indigenous people already living on this island way before then, way before us Chinese people. However, I also admit that Taiwan today is technically a part of China under the rule of the Republic of China, and plus it is not a part of the UN, making it not internationally recognized as a country. So that's why I said I can kind of agree with him when he said that he didn't think these Taiwanese people in the video were putting it in a good way. So Taiwan is fully independent independent. But when some Taiwanese people in this interview claimed that Taiwan is already an independent country, I also have to disagree because it kind of just contradicts with the history and the current reality just as much as this guy's claims that Taiwan has always been rightfully a part of theirs.
我觉得还是，怎么说呢？从他们个人的角度出发，还是可以理解的，因为，他们台湾毕竟只是一个比较小的地区，相对于大陆来说，那体量完全不一样。那么，对于一个强大的力量，可能会产生一些畏惧，可能会产生一些担忧自己的生存状态。那我觉得还是从个人的角度出发是可以。
Thank you for being so understanding.
我就这样想吧，就这样，就是你是一个种子，然后人家用什么东西浇灌你，你就长成什么样子的。我们因为经常就这样被灌输，我们就长成这样。他们可能已经。
It's an interesting metaphor.
对，比如说氢弹啊等之类的，我可以理解他们的想法，就我也觉得 OK。其实我蛮支持那个另外一位先生的说法，就是维持现状，我感觉挺好的，因为政治上的斗对我们来说是没有什么意义的。我觉得就是两国就是人。
Hold on. Okay, if I hear it correctly, she just used the term country to describe Taiwan. Like, I'm pretty sure she just said 两国, which means two countries. Well, she probably didn't mean it that way, but still, it is definitely a pretty interesting word choice coming from a citizen from the PRC.
能够经济上过得好，然后日子一天比一天好，我觉得这个就是对大家最大的一个幸福。
I definitely feel the same.
我倒是没有什么惊讶的，因为我觉得就是以现在这个两岸的这个政治形势来看，因为肯定是台湾他们对这个就是台湾自己或者说本土的这种认同感，现在是肯定是个上升的趋势，尤其是从年轻人来说的话，我觉得他们可能更多认同自己是台湾人，而不是中国人。当然了，这个和这个国际背景啊，和这个两岸的一些互动，目前的一些紧张的形势，我觉得都有关系。然后我觉得就是我也能理解，因为毕竟现在两岸分割了这么长时间了，然后在不同的这种政治文化的这个熏陶下，那肯定是有点渐行渐远的感觉。
就是以我看来，我觉得就反正我在台湾认识的，或者是我见到的人，如果他们谈论起关于政治话题或者是主权问题的话，就是普遍他们都会觉得台湾起码是独立的。
That's true.
我觉得就是以我看来，或者是以我自己，首先以我自己的话，我会不希望他回归，就是我认可里面他们说的话的，就是他们说，他们看到现在的香港，看到新疆，然后所以他们不会想要台湾回归。这个涉及很多方面，但是我会觉得就是我不希望他们回归，因为我觉得他们确实有自己的独立的司法体系，有自己的货币，有自己的就是一套可以成为一个国家所必须要的东西。
I really appreciate how most of them are being so open-minded and understanding of the current position we're in, and even our wish to do something basically completely contradicts their beliefs. To be honest, I wasn't expecting this many people from the interview to be so understanding, but again, I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for saying that.
你认为普通的大陆公民是如何看待台湾主权问题的？
我想基本上应该可以说，我不说全部100%吧，可能最起码90%认为它是我们
Of course, not surprising.
那么你为什么会这么觉得？是你从小接受的教育是这样的，还是你成人之后从媒体中得到的，或者是自己的个人判断？
小时候的教育就是台湾就是我们的一部分，那这个是肯定的。我想大多数像我这种到了中年的都是接受过这样的教育的。那么在经过漫长的这种感觉当中，我其实一开始有段时间，我在旅游的时候，其实我觉得，一国两制这种状态其实也比较稳，我其实有些可以接受，我也能理解。但是到后面，当矛盾加剧化，大家的关系很恶劣的时候，我其实感觉应该是回归到我们一起，大家应该是友好的共处，而不是。
And how is that going to make things any better?
是对的或者怎么样？我希望就是说能够寻找一个比较平和的那个契机，能够处理这些事情。 这是我个人的希望。
First of all, she seems to have this misunderstanding that Taiwan is already under the one country, two system law, which is wrong. The Chinese government has proposed a peaceful unification under this circumstance to Taiwan, but Taiwan never accepted it. So if you're unfamiliar with this one country, two system law, it's basically the current situation in Hong Kong and Macau. So they work under their own system separated from the mainland, but they are still a part of the People's Republic of China, and the Chinese government do have direct control over them. Taiwan, on the other hand, by not accepting this from the CCP government, is currently still not a part of the People's Republic of China, as I already said. And currently, the Chinese government indeed has no direct control over the island whatsoever. So that is the huge difference that most people from the PRC and even a lot of foreigners do not realize because of the CCP propaganda. Secondly, I do appreciate how by supporting unification, she seems to hope for the most peaceful resolutions. And I've actually also received many comments supporting peaceful unification as well, and I do understand that they have the best intentions, but to which I must say, to you it might seem like peaceful unification would suggest a happy ending, but to Taiwanese people it might just be the beginning into a living hell. I mean, just think about it, what the CCP government has been doing to Hong Kong. No matter which side you're on, no matter you're siding with the protester or you're siding with the CCP government, you have to admit that this all happened because the Hong Kongers essentially want freedom and democracy. So this really proves that you really cannot survive under the CCP government if you ever dare to ask for freedom and democracy. And you know that Taiwanese people are most definitely going to ask for that because that's just what we've always had. And we're already so used to it as well. So you can really already imagine that the CCP government is most likely to going to treat Taiwan exactly the same way as they treated Hong Kong. Or even worse, they could even use something like the re-education camp that they used in Xinjiang to try to force Taiwanese people to change our minds. So that really is the main fear Taiwanese people have when thinking about unification. We do unfortunately have more than just the word to worry about. So I really hope that whoever is supporting peaceful unification can at least try to understand where I'm coming from.
我不觉得很多13亿、14亿人口，我觉得大80%、90%认为我们中国人想法就是台湾就是我们中国人。 就像那个澳门啊、香港一样。
Again, huge difference between Taiwan and Hong Kong, Macau, in that the latter two are already under the rule of the People's Republic of China with the one country, two system law. Taiwan, on the other hand, is not.
你觉得有大陆人会认为台湾也是独立的吗？
我在身边接触到的是不会有朋友这样认为。
Surprisingly, I have met one person from the PRC who even thinks Taiwan is a country, so it was my roommate when I was studying in Sweden, and we had another roommate who was from Sweden, and when she asked us, are you guys from the same country? Before I could even answer, the roommate from the PRC immediately replied, no, we're not from the same country, to which I'm of course really surprised.
既然你已经是觉得，就是你刚才的这回答已经说明你是属于认为台湾应该是独立的 这么一个声音了，你觉得这个原因是只是你个人吗？还是比方说是从学校和不同的教育背景啊，还是有什么原因，或者是根据年纪，还是还有其他因素吗？
我觉得这个可能真的是跟比如说我接受到的资讯，以及是说教育背景，以及是说身边的朋友，或者是说就是反正身边认识的人，因为这个始终是一个跟主旋律就是 中国共产党的主旋律是相违背的一个声音，所以的话，如果一旦要在公开场合去讲这种很明显是大不韪的这种话的话，其实我觉得，一般人都不会想要去说的。
I suppose that is the main reason why she has her face blurred out, and I really respect the fact that despite knowing all of this, she had the courage to speak up in front of the camera.
特别是要公开露面的情况下，因为其实 就算是这个是发布在海外媒体的，但是其实中共它本身它就有自己在海外的一个自媒体，就是它也有自己的 Twitter， 也有自己的就 YouTube 这些东西，所以你没有办法去，就是你没有办法去确保我说的话是 没有办法被国内的人所知道的。
So as I said, I also have viewers from the PRC, and sometimes I would see them express the same worry because YouTube is technically blocked in China, but when they make comments on YouTube, sometimes they also have to worry about whether or not they are going to be checked by the government and get into trouble. So I suppose it's probably an extremely scary feeling that you might be caught no matter where you are.
我觉得大陆应该是始终是像对待香港一样的，是怀有一个很宽容，然后很
Are you serious?
的状态，不会采取武力的这种强制性的一个回归的这种状态，就是可能就是我觉得像乌克兰那样的情况，绝对不会发生到中国身上。中国自古以来就是主张的是民主平等。
I have so many questions. First of all, if China really is so democratic as you said, then why did the interviewer need to ask you that question at the beginning of the interview? Secondly, if the CCP government really is so generous towards Hong Kong, then why are there currently so many Hong Kongers immigrating to Taiwan, my friend being one of them? And last but certainly not least, if you really think that your government is being so peaceful, then what are they doing with all of these missile shootings and military activities directly aiming at us?
国外和西方媒体总是强调我们中国有严厉的审核制度，所以中国人、大陆人不能谈论台湾。所以我就想好奇这个说法的真实性是怎么样的，或者换一个说法，我们在大陆谈论台湾有多敏感？
没有那么敏感，我觉得挺自由啊。我们有时候会闲聊，家人闲聊或朋友之间闲聊，都有那种闲聊，都有那种自由权利。
如果一旦讨论到这些敏感的政治的，反正一切涉及政治，以及是说涉及到当局的任何的行动这些东西的话，其实我们不会在国内的社交。
So maybe with friends, but not on social media.
就是如果有可能的话，我们会比如说在一些海外的软件，就是避免到这个监察的范围内的软件上去讨论，因为国内的这些审查其实是无孔不入的，不仅是说你在公开的社交媒体上，
That's also what I've heard.
在微博上面去发表一些言论，甚至于是在你个人的社交媒体上，比如说在中国使用的微信上面，就大陆使用的微信上面，其实这个监察是很明显的，就是你会觉得你的个人聊天其实是被监控的，所以一旦要讨论这些问题，如果真的想要讨论的话，那可能我们会用一些代号或去指代或者是一些谐音，就是反正不会去很明显、很明目张胆的去讨论。所以我觉得这个不能讨论台湾，这个是一个是民众的一个主观意识上就会觉得我恐惧讨论这件事情，因为一旦讨论的话，这对我自己或者是其他的一些后续的影响太大了。另外一个就是说讨论的话，如果
Honestly, a little bit like early Taiwan, when we were still autocratic.
进一步讨论的，以及是说就是其实你如果想要在就很简单，如果你想要在微信发朋友圈或者是在微博发什么东西，如果里面是涉及一些敏感词的话，这个东西根本发不出去，或者是你发
That's also what I've heard.
其实只有你自己看到，它显示好像发出去了，但是它其实在暗中已经在实施监察。
至少和身边的朋友也好，同事也好，就我们聊天是 OK 的，没有像西方国家说的一样是有一个言论受限的一个状态。
你现在跟我在这里谈论台湾，你觉得会因此受到什么，比方说麻烦呀、惹上麻烦之类的？
我觉得我的言论并没有什么不合理的地方，所以我觉得不会受到。
Okay, I generally have this impression that in the PRC, you have your freedom of speech only when you say things that are in line with the government's propaganda. Like you can clearly see from this interview that those people who have different opinions about Taiwan that are obviously considered problematic in the CCP standard, those are the only ones that are worried about these restrictions on their freedom of speech. And those who are in full support of their government, they don't seem to notice any inconvenience in their freedom of speech, or at least that's what it seems like to me.
无所谓了，反正能不能收都无所谓了，反正实话实说而已啦。反正如果官方国家过来找我嘛，我就跟他说实话实说嘛。难道你想着打仗啊？我说世界和平，难道你想让我打？不想让我说世界和平吗？你想打仗吗？
你只是表达了自己的个人
对呀、
看法。
个人看法嘛。反正我也没说敏感话题，我只是希望不希望。
100% agreeing with him here.
上的就是我们老百姓，还有 家园美好的家园。
Definitely, definitely.
打仗的话，牺牲的都是一线战兵，那个士兵啊那些，如果这样那家庭美满家庭都。
Totally agree.
最后，你对台湾人民还有正在看这个视频的西方观众，你有什么想说的？
希望大家能够和平友好，真的，这是我最大的心愿。
For sure.
我觉得不管是这个大陆，就台海两岸、大陆和台湾，还是包括整个亚洲这个国际来说，那看到在对吧乌克兰发生的事情以后，肯定我觉得大家还是这个觉得和平才是我们这个时代的主题，对吧？就是说，我觉得起码就是说，不管政治层面怎么样，但是说台海两岸大家民间的这个我觉得交流沟通。还是应该促进一下，然后还是能就是说求同存异，对吧？保持这个和平的状态，这不管对谁对哪一方都是好的，对吧？
Totally agree with him. So despite what our politicians might be doing, there should definitely be more civil dialogues between Taiwanese people and the people from the PRC.
台湾人民啊，首先我想说，就是从心里的话，我还是觉得咱们是一家人。但是就是如果他们有就是自己独立的一些想法，我觉得这是值得被尊重和
I think I'm about to cry.
认可的一件事情，所以必须得表达。至于说结果什么样，那是政治层面上的事情。我还是希望这世界是和平的吧。
Oh my god, I actually had tears in my eyes. She's such a nice person. And she reminded me so much of this friend from the PRC that I have. Because once she literally said the exact same thing to me. And I really appreciate this kindness coming from so many people from the PRC. I genuinely do. Okay, final thoughts. So obviously there are a lot of things said in the interview that I don't agree with, but after hearing that all of them hope for peace and no war between us, I really feel like as long as we can agree on peace and if we both do not want war, then I can totally respect what you might think of Taiwan even if I can't agree with you. Though I have to say, it is a bit unsettling for me to see how the CCP government seem to have created this image of themselves being the peace lover to their people. Like from their responses, you'd clearly see that most of them are probably unaware of the things their government has been doing to their neighbors like Taiwan and India. So to see so many of them saying that they want peace without the understanding that their government right now is literally the only one breaking this peace, it really just rubs me the wrong way. But overall, it's just such a heartwarming video. I don't know how much percentage of the current PRC citizens are as understanding and peaceful as these interviewees are. Like, okay, in real life, 80% of the Chinese people I've met are quite like them, but then on the internet, you'll see like 80% of the Chinese people being extremists and spreading hate against Taiwan. So sometimes it's quite confusing where the general PRC public stands. But anyway, no matter what happens between us, I really hope that everything can end in peace. That's really the only conclusion I can come up with. So that being said, it's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it, so please leave a like if you did, and please subscribe for more reaction videos from a Taiwanese perspective, and I will see you in the next video.